Hello, and welcome to Addicted Like Us, a podcast discussing all things written by Krista Becca. I'm your host, Haley, and today I have a very special guest, Ali Dane / Andria Mae, aka Ali Dane Audiobooks / Andria Mae Audiobooks, aka Harriet Fisher, and all of the female voices in the Burn Bright audiobook with me to do a Q&A and just chit-chat about all of Krista and Becca's books. A quick recap, I'm Haley, a longtime reader and lover of Krista and Becca's work. Now, I just love to spend all my time talking about all my favorite books, aka anything written by Krista and Becca. So the Addicted Like Us podcast was created so I could sit down with friends and discuss all of our thoughts. So let me introduce you to Ali.
Hi, friend. I'm excited to get to be one of the friends that joins the podcast. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for wanting to be part of this. I feel like
I
I
had
have
to
a
shoot my
celebrity
shot
on the podcast right now.
Stop, no.
I
was like, she probably rivals, when I messaged you, I was like, she's probably on my level of being able to talk about the love that I have for these books and this series. I'm psyched to nerd out about it.
Yes.
And gush about how much we love them.
We were literally just discussing, we spent a good 10 minutes before we started recording just gushing to each other. So we're going to be great on this podcast.
Yeah, lots to talk about.
Plenty to talk about, but I was explaining that we're going to do like a Q&A. Since you are an audio narrator and I'm an audio listener, I'm fascinated by the whole thing. So we're going to do a Q&A just about audio narration, but we'll kind of transition over to some KBR questions and kind of do like a talk about being KBR fangirls into our work representing them in some way pipeline.
It's wild. It's wild how it all came together. Like, some things are just meant to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
But let's dive into a couple of the questions first. So
yeah, let's do it.
First off, how did you get into voice acting?
So I think a lot of us creatives, artists of all different kinds, the pandemic hit us in a pretty interesting way. I had kind of closed the door on that part of my life for a while. I had studied vocal performance, opera singing, actually, when I initially started college, and then just kind of transitioned to, and I was like, no, like that's, I don't know. I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do the responsible thing. I'm going to study psychology and counseling, and I'm going to do something else with my life. And then I finally had time to slow down, and I got really into podcasting. So I was initially podcasting about books. Wow. This is why I love podcasts.
Yes.
And discovered that I really loved like audio recording and editing, and had always had this kind of like disdain for my own speaking voice, which is, you would think, would not be ideal as a narrator. But I started making friends with indie authors, and I wanted to do something creative, and I wanted to be acting again, and I missed it, and I wanted to make something. And so I was going to do like just a couple of books. And I was going to make books with my friends. And so it started with 3 books, and then 3 books turned into like a lot more. And then my husband was like, this is it, right? Like, you're finishing up that duology, so like you're good, right? And I'm like, well, okay, but like now people are like talking to, like reaching out to me and finding me. And then that was 4 years ago, and now I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, and I'm working with these publishers, and it is something that I never dreamed, or I say that it was my secret dream. It was something that I was too afraid of ever dreaming to be able to do, and I just feel so incredibly lucky. And I used to like say like out loud, because it seemed like the craziest thing, and I was like, well, if I ever narrate for Krista and Becca Ritchie, like I'll know that it's real and that it's like actually happening. And then it happened. And so it's crazy because I kind of accidentally manifested it, but it was like, I would say it because it seemed too ridiculous. I was like, there's no way that that's going to happen.
Right.
When you're like such a fan of like the series and the writing and everything.
Yeah. Because I started illustrating in 2020. That was like pandemic.
Yep. See? Because we had time.
Yes. And I remember it was like May of 2020. I like sat down and did some Illustrator like classes on Skillshare, and it like morphed into working on Procreate. But the whole thing was always like, Krista is their graphic designer. She has done all of their covers forever and ever. There's zero way that any part of my stuff would be able to go on one of their books. That wasn't a thing.
Like, surely no.
Definitely not.
And now look at you.
Yeah, I know. I'm really bad about talking about it.
It's hard,
I'm that
right?
humble little being like, oh.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm the same way. I'm like, no. Like,
it's not that big a deal. Like,
it's not
that
big of a deal. And I'm like, it's
Internally.
honestly an accident.
Okay, but so what is the process for getting involved in like a recording? Like when you sit down to record any portion of the book, or like, I guess you would do it in like chunks probably.
Yeah. So I'm in my studio right now. So we call it the goat shed. I had a shed in my backyard that my goat used to live in. This sounds so professional.
No, this sounds incredible. I'm learning about
my
a goat.
husband, he's a pet. I take really good care of him.
I love that.
And yeah, and we built him a new shed. So trust me, he has a very lovely home. But we completely stripped it, retrofitted it, like re-insulated it. It was a Christmas/birthday present for my husband, and completely built it out. And so I have this shedio recording studio in my backyard. So I walk a little stone path like out to my backyard. But yeah, I typically chunk things out, and there's also like all of the prep and the pre-read beforehand. I do this for all of the books, but I would be lying if I said that Burn Bright did not get a little bit of extra special magic treatment, and that I really dove into. I low-key kind of stalked your page a little bit, and I was looking at like your artwork, and I wanted to know what I thought of her like on my first impression, but then I also wanted to kind of see what other people's impression of her was, because I really wanted to make sure that I captured it and stayed true to like my interpretation. Yeah. But I looked at like early artwork of Harriet and Ben, and just kind of seeing like what people's like reactions were to like different scenes, like as they were reading the arcs and stuff. But yeah, I come in here. I'm sorry, I realize we're recording audio. You can hear my ice water in here because I'm obsessively drinking it all the time. Hydration is a narrator's friend. So I come out here with my water, and I tried to chunk things out into like 45-minute sections.
Okay.
And then I kind of like plan out like how many days it's going to take me and what I want to accomplish in a session. But things were a little bit different because Burn Bright was duet. So
that's one of my questions. Yeah. Is like, what's the process between doing a duet versus a dual narration?
Yeah, because like dual is really similar to solo, except you have a lot more collaboration that has to happen and coordination between you and your co-narrator of like, you know, how are you going to do this voice? And quite obviously, like, I can't pitch my voice like as low as like, you know, Aaron Shedlock or somebody like that. I can't recreate it, but I'm like, oh, I want to kind of listen to like what their pacing is and, you know, how strong of an accent they're doing for different things. But then when you're doing duet, I'm actually kind of weird in that most duets are not synchronously recorded. I've done a lot of synchronous. Burn Bright was not, which kind of has its own particular challenges, is because I'm trying to imagine like how he's going to, you know, say certain things, and like how big is he going to go. Duet, you tend to be able to perform a lot more because it doesn't sound quite right when, you know, the voices are coming back and forth if we're just kind of like doing like a pretty standard narrative read. So it's fun. You get to perform a lot more, and when you're doing that dialogue, you really just get to like really go for it. But you have to like gauge, you know, how far are they gonna go, because I don't want to have like a huge reaction that's like doesn't have continuity. But Krista and Becca are such amazing authors that like everything was there in the text, and so I feel like we have great continuity. But I never talked to Alistair before. Like we're all on like a production thread together, and so we had some coordination of like, you know, how are we saying this, how are we saying that, you know, how do we pronounce this or that, and like the French pronunciation and stuff. Was a particular challenge. But I do a lot of French in books. I don't know how that keeps coming up for me, but it worked out well that the Cobalt family speaks so much French, and I feel comfortable with that.
Okay, so do you have any similarities to Harriet? Did you learn anything from her while you were reading the book?
Oh my gosh, Harriet. So I actually feel like I identify with Ben more. Like if I had to choose like of the two, I'm a little like anxious, nervous Nellie that has like a very tender heart. But there were definitely those pieces of Harriet that like really just like I was like, oh man, I really did see parts of myself in her. And that, her vulnerability and just like so often I have found myself being like, do I know how to make friends? Like, do I know how to talk to people? And like, I shouldn't have to ask people, like, how do I do this? How do I socialize? And then also, like, so many times in my life, I have said things in a genuine way and people have taken it as if I was being sarcastic. And so like the line that she's like, did that come across as sarcastic? Like I meant that for real. I didn't like that exact thing has happened to me so many times. But yeah, no, I definitely, I did learn a lot like just about myself in like her story and Ben's story and like the, gifted kid burnout and not wanting to feel like a burden to anybody and being like, if I can just like be perfect, if I can just like do these things, like maybe, shit in my life will get together. And I just loved the journey I got to go on with her because like she's such a grumpy Gus and I love it. And I'm very like, I'm a golden retriever in real life and, which I'm sure is not coming across in this podcast at all.
No,
I'm sure it's like,
definitely
why would anyone
tell.
think that? And yeah, I totally can't tell. But like that's what's so fun about playing her is like I got to like let my inner grump come out and like the inner like prickly and sarcasm and like just got to be really dry. But then like as the story goes and like as she becomes more comfortable and like more confident in herself and starts to like open up more to Ben, like she starts to kind of blossom as a character and she's not like she goes from being very dry and like flat to then like she is able to like grow. And I love that about audiobooks because I feel like the voice that you use at the beginning of the book, you don't necessarily have to like, people are multidimensional, they should not sound the same throughout an entire story. They change and grow as people and they can have moments where they're quiet and withdrawn and other times where they're bright and bubbly and, and her humor, like her dry humor was really lovely as well. 'Cause she's just fucking hilarious. And so there was times where I was like, I just read it like I would do one of like a rom-com that I did and that kind of same like dry acerbic humor. She's just really fucking funny. And so I loved that about her. So I'll stop gushing about Harriet. Like I adore her. She's a perfect being. I love her.
No, that is like all you could ask for in a narrator. Someone who loves her and gets her and just embodies, like wants to embody her. I couldn't ask for anything more. I love it.
I feel really fortunate that I got to voice her and it still is like very much a dream come true and it mattered so much to me. And, like I said, like I feel like I take that level of care and investment in every project that I do, but I would absolutely be lying if I said that I didn't like give, like I felt so honored that I was trusted with this when, I am kind of like a smaller name. I'm not, as well known as a lot of other people, but I was like, but what I can do and what I can bring to the table is like know these characters and I know these stories and I know like so much and I just care so much and I'm going to work so hard to just like get it just right and, for myself and for the fans. And yeah, so
Perfect.
It meant a lot.
Okay, so what is the experience of recording a book? Do you approach it like reading the book in a different way?
Well, I mean, like I was like kicking my feet and
I bet.
Yeah, because there was like a process and like when I was booked to then like when we were recording, because then there's like the whole process of like coordinating everybody's schedules and everything. And so at first I was like, oh my God, I'm getting an arc basically. I'm like, I get to read Burn Bright. And and since it was duet, the production company I was working with, it comes pre-highlighted. So, I know what my parts are going to be and, what the male dialogue is going to be. But I actually have like still in my notes app, I should pull it open. I've saved it. I won't ever delete it as I have like all of these like notes that I was taking like as I was reading it, like stuff about Harriet and like little clues that were about like what her voice might sound like. like short, but she doesn't like when people fuck with her about it, and like dry, snarky, sarcastic. And then like the line about the dying battery in the flat soda and like how she sees herself.
Yeah.
And so, oh yeah, and then she's actually really fucking funny and has a very dry. These are like the notes that I wrote. And then, so that's like a bit of, and I have like little notes about like, okay, like when I get to this part, like I want to deliver it like this. So there's all these different things and notes to myself like, okay, like you need to have her be really reserved, but then this scene, like you really get to just like go all out. And like, I don't know if you can guess which one it was that I really like just left it all out there. I had to retake it because I peaked my microphone because I yelled too loud, and I had to redo it because I went too far. And I was like, okay, that was good. We got to pull it back.
I'm going to have to go back and listen. I don't want to get that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that wrong.
It was when she was arguing with somebody.
Okay.
But there was like one scene where I was like, okay, this is where I get to like, because she's so reserved.
Right.
Like, and she's holding everything in. And she's like, I don't fucking care. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. And then we got to this point.
I'm trying to remember, who does she argue with?
Well, actually, notably, the person does not argue back, really.
Okay.
She tells him off. Do you want me to tell you?
Yes, please, because I'm blanking.
It's the dad hospital scene.
Oh my God.
Lost my shit.
Yes.
Lost my shit, and I had to retake it because I was working through some shit.
That's a perfect, yeah. I can see how like that can be a very personal scene. I can see why.
Yeah, I was like,
a lot of emotions
okay,
would come out of that.
And I was like, all right, we gotta. Because then I went back and I was like, ooh, I think I was too loud. I think I went too far, and so I actually had to redo. That, not even like them coming back and telling me I had to redo it. I knew in the moment that I took it too far, and I was like, okay, we gotta do that one again. But I was like, I think I may have kept
that in a whole new light now.
But I was like, oh, that felt good, though. Because I was like, we had to do just one take where we, like, really let it out. But sorry, I got really off track.
No, that's okay.
How do I approach? Yeah, so then I was like, yeah, so I take, like, all those notes as I'm, like, prepping it and recording it. And there's, like, the coordination and everything. And so that's how I go into it and really, like, and I just, like, leave little notes for myself. Okay. And then once I get into the booth, I just follow the roadmap that the authors left me. And Krista and Becca have a way of writing that like I could hear it all playing out in my head as I was reading. So then I was like, okay, here we go again. Like I can just, I'm just following what they've laid there.
So you don't like practice, like I assume with the French, you're like practicing that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you don't. Do you feel like you need to like practice the chunk, or it's just sort of like what you're feeling as you're reading, I guess rereading?
Yeah, rereading, because like you should always like read it. And so then I won't say the whole thing out loud as I'm prepping it, but then there are definitely certain like key phrases that like as I was reading them, I was like, and so I'll say them out loud as I read. But because we're doing, this is long form. And so like, and one of the hardest things that I had to learn at the beginning of my career is to just trust my performance. Okay. And like you can give it a couple of takes. And I will say because then the way that I record is that, if you make a mistake or you want to retake something, you just like, you take it back a little bit and then you redo the line and then you redo it and you redo it and you redo it until you're happy. Mm-hmm. I probably redid so many lines of this book until like I got it to where exactly how I imagined it to be. And I think probably just because I was being a little bit anxious and like I wanted it, but I imagined it in my head a certain way and I really wanted to get it right. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I will like redo a line, but like when you're doing long form, you're just reading. You're reading and you're reacting. And so fortunately, I feel like I've gotten to a point where I really trust my voice, and you just have to trust your choices in the moment and not question it too much.
Yeah.
But then the dialogue, I'll redo a lot of the dialogue lines and a lot of her like jokes. And like if it was dry, I was like, okay, is that too dry? Like I want to make sure it's coming across as a joke and like she's not being a dick. Like how do I like get it to like come across like exactly the way I want it to? So
okay, so also not in the notes, but I like remembered all of these questions off the top of my head.
Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go on a journey.
Like we were kind of talking, you kind of talked a little bit about your Harriet voice. Like what is the process of deciding how, especially for like dual, when you've got to do Well, I guess with all of them, because even in duet, you still have to do the guys at that point. So I guess that's even more. How do you decide all of these different voices?
I mean, it's all there in the text. And so like that was some of the notes that I wrote down was that, one of it, and beautifully, like very early on in that first chapter, it's like, they talk about how her voice is filled with grit and rasp. And then we also get character notes as well from the authors. That's pretty standard for like all the productions I work on. They're like, this is who has an accent and like this is kind of what they sound like. And this is like their personality. So like there was, I had notes on Jane and Audrey and Rose and, everybody. But then I had listened to the entirety of the Like Us series. And while I was not going to try to recreate any of those incredible performances, I did want to keep that same flavor.
Okay.
And make sure that I had some continuity and didn't like make like a crazy choice. And so I think I was listening to like the girl squad. Oh my God, is it Infamous Like Us or which is the most recent of the Like Us with Luna and Donnelly?
That one's Nobody Like Us.
Nobody Like Us. Thank you. Sorry. I have like get a little lost in the sauce where Christmas at the Cabin and the Girl Squad. And so I was like listening to the audiobook and like taking clips of like all of the Girl Squad. And then I was like, okay, I'm still going to like do like my own take on it. But I was like, again, I'm so obsessed with the famous ones that I was like, I've got to get this right. But yeah, like you just listen to the descriptions and I kind of have this like whole Rolodex in my head of like all these different voices. And there's so many levers to pull of like pitch and pacing and, the musicality of a voice. And so for Harriet, she's the baseline and the main voice is usually like fairly close to yours, but I did kind of like, I wanted to pitch her down just a little bit. And, she definitely has a little more of like the vocal fry and also she sounds like she hasn't talked to anybody for a really long time because she hasn't.
Right.
Like she doesn't have friends. She doesn't talk to anyone. So I wanted it to sound like she's not used to using her voice. And so she has like that little bit of like tension in her voice, especially like earlier on in the book. But then as she goes, like she opens up more. And so her voice got to have like a lot more movement. But then she's also like deeply emotional and just feels things so deeply. So then, that's how much like emotion you push into it. But Rose was like super fun to do as well. Cause then like, you even like, when I'm like performing Rose, I'm like even like changing, like I'm like imagining right now, like it's because she's like so,
Yes, that is Rose.
Yeah, I was like, I'm forgetting this is a podcast. You can't see me, but like I changed my body and like she's like very upright and she acts like she,
the Ice Queen.
Doesn't care. The Ice Queen. Yeah, so we have to like embody the Ice Queen.
Yes.
And then Audrey, she's such a dreamer. I love her so much. Oh my God, like she is whimsy.
Yes, every time Krista and Becca are like, we're writing both love, and it's everything we dreamed, and I'm like, yes, I cannot
I'm so
wait.
excited for her to have her story. She's going to be so amazing.
Yes.
The dinner, well, I'm afraid, I don't want to spoil it. Like, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know.
At this point.
I was thinking I'll probably just go back and add in a big old massive spoiler warning for
I won't say anything plot-wise, but like the, Wednesday night dinner and like the exclamation and like all the shenanigans that happened, like that was like people asking like, what are some of your favorite scenes you recorded? Like that one. And also just the fact that I was there like recording a Wednesday night dinner after like
knowing about the lore behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm here for Wednesday night dinner. And I was like, this is the best thing
I've
ever.
been invited to Wednesday night dinner. This is amazing.
Yeah. Like right? Because like that's the whole thing. Like being invited to Wednesday night dinner is like such a huge deal. And I was like, I'm there. I'm at Wednesday night dinner.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we asked about, so we kind of talked about the process between dual versus duet, but do you have a preference for which one to record and which one to listen to?
So I just love audiobooks in general. And so I love all of them. I do really enjoy duet because I like listening to duet and I like recording duet because I do feel like I have a lot more freedom with how far I can go with the performance. I love the acting. I love being able to go all out. Like I can't go like full like audio drama, like animation or anything, but I feel like you get like a lot more freedom to just really perform it. And then selfishly, I really like duet too because I get to open up my range of female voices and like because then I can go way down here for like a girl, and when like that's normally as low as I can go for a guy. we get to explore, and we have like so many more choices that we can, and we can add rasp when like normally like I have to like add rasp for like a guy or something. So I feel like I have so many more choices I can make, whereas like dual, and then recording dual, I have to like, I'm not just taking my own choices into account. I have to account for another person's, which is still really fun. Like that's a really enjoyable part of the collaboration, but it's just a different thing to think about. But I love all audiobooks as long as they're narrated by humans. That's
Amen to that. We are as I can't remember the exact line, but it's in the book. We like human Harriet, not AI Harriet or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I think I got into audiobooks in like 2019. It was because my brother is he is dyslexic like Elliot. And so he's never been able to like really read very well. So he got into audiobooks first. And we were like, I think we were driving home from Pittsburgh from like a cousin's birthday party, and he put on an audiobook. That was when I also learned that you could bump up audiobook speeds, because I had tried them before a little bit and at 1x speed.
That's
and I was
the
like,
secret.
I was like, this isn't clicking with me. And he bumped his up to 1.3, and I was like, oh my God, audiobooks are amazing. I love this. And
that's what I tell any like hesitant audiobook listener. And I'm like, look, I am not too egotistical that I'm going to be like, you need to enjoy my performance at like the speed at which. No, like if it's easier for you to consume the book at 2x speed, like go for it. Like, that is the secret. Like speed it up.
And like you said, I have ADHD, and I have this whole thing where like I don't like sitting down and reading a book and feeling like I have paused every other thing in my life.
Yeah.
I love being able to like do my artwork and also consume a book at the same time. It makes me feel 10 times more productive. So I'm like nerding out over here because, again, I'm a big audio listener. So I'm all of these questions that have always like run through my brain. I'm like, how did this come to be?
It's like this a whole mysterious like behind the curtain experience, and like really it's kind of like boring and technical at times, but like if you have no idea like how it comes together, and and like how they like splice it all together, and
it's
because
I've listened to like a bunch, and like I have heard, I mean, I feel bad, but like at this point I've heard like really great performances. I've heard like some not so great performances from really great editing, and some not so great editing. And I'm always over here like, how does it all come together?
Like we record this audio, and I do the very best job that I can, and I then hand it off to a team of people, and I hand it off to a team of editors and proofers and quality control people, and I have to trust that like all of that is going to be, so it really is like a team and collaborative kind of thing where, in order to make really incredible audiobooks, it's not just the narrator. It's also, a proofer that's like really paying close attention to that. Like, we try to coordinate and make sure that we have all of our pronunciations the same between the two of us. But if like we missed something, or I'm dumb and like, said a word is slightly incorrect and it's like different from the way he said it, like we want that to all get like caught in post. And I'm like here you go, hopefully I don't sound like an idiot like later on.
I think that's interesting, because it's like there's a lot of people involved, but it's mostly your name that's attached to it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, it is pretty nerve-wracking, and sometimes like, as with anything, sometimes books get released and they have like a typo here and there, like it can kind of be the same, but I'm just like, but those are the kinds of things that keep me up at night is there like a mistake out there and somebody's like, God, Ali Dane, Andria Mae, she's like a terrible narrator, like that's out there, but but it's kind of nice when I'm doing a synchronous duet where we're live, like recording it together, is then we can kind of like live proof each other as we go. So then we can kind of catch those mistakes and be like, wait, how are you saying this? How did you say this name? Like, okay, cool. So like we're on the same page. But like that takes a whole other level of like trust and like professionalism and also just like the coordination of like everybody's like schedules and like, I actually just finished like a synchronous duet, and we recorded like a 13-hour audiobook in like 7 days, and we were just like locked in. And I think it's going to turn out really wonderful, but it was like we were both like so focused. And it's just like it's a completely different process, because I'm like, normally I'd be like off in the weeds, like, getting distracted. I was like, so at the end of like those 7 days, we're like, I need a nap. That was really intense. But synchronous can be fun to do as well.
All right. Do you have a favorite audiobook that you've listened to?
So my comfort listen that I re-listen to is Damaged Like Us. Like, I re-listen to it all the time.
That.
Like, and again, I'm very busy now with like my reading and narrating, that I just don't have a lot of time for reading. But if I need a comfort listen, it's Damaged Like Us. And I have eyeball read it twice, and I don't even know how many times I've listened to it.
Yeah.
But I also really love Wild Like Us. Yeah. And like one of my favorite narrators is, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on his name?
Aaron or Vikas?
Vikas. Oh my God. That's so embarrassing, because like I've like met Vikas, and I'm like, how did you just blank on like Vikas?
That's funny. I've met Aaron and I've met Carly, so you've got Vikas covered.
I met Aaron like years ago, like before I was a narrator at Love in Vegas, and then he and I narrated a book together, and so I'm like, what is life? But yeah, so Vikas and Aaron, both of them, I love their performance, and Carly too, like just the three of them together,
yes,
just like. And then you're like, what is your favorite audiobook? And I'm like, let me tell you 10.
It's okay. Those are acceptable answers.
I also really, really loved Carly and Lessa on Love and Other Cursed Things. Oh my God.
It's really
oh my God.
I find it really funny at this point that like they're so good about getting one narrator to do the same character, but then like they have separate series and they still get the same narrator. So I'm over here like, Lessa is Zoe, but I'm over here like, well, now Lessa is Luna, but so I'm listening to Zoe right now with Donnelly.
Yeah. Fortunately, I listened to them far enough apart that I was able to like separate them. Yeah.
It was really hard when I would like re-listen to the series before Nobody Like Us came out, because it was or like before the Luna and Donnelly books came out, because that was when Love and Other Cursed Things was released, was right after the Kitsaletti books. And so I would listen to Carly in those books and then jump into Love and Other Cursed Things, and I'd be like, it's Sully talking to me.
My gosh. But she's there.
She's the sweetest. Yeah. I brought the books to Book Bonanza in 2023, and I was like, I am the biggest audio listener. I love your performances, Sully, and as October.
Yeah.
And I was like, and these are the covers that I illustrated. And she's like, these are amazing. And she walked me over to Erin, who was on the other side, and she was like, look, she did the covers for these. She drew bangs.
Oh my gosh.
She was so cute.
They're so talented, and like the way, like the emotionality that they bring to it, it's just like they're just masters. And then I'm like, what am I like? And now I'm here on this series. Like, it's so crazy.
No,
but yeah, no, they're incredible. I loved listening to their performances on those. But yeah, the Kitsaletti, like, just it had so much. Well, just all of them. And that's why I'm like skipping ahead. I know, like, okay. Why do I love?
We're getting to that point anyway.
We're getting it's what why I love it so much. It's just it's the heart that every single book that they have, and then like just the narration of it was so perfectly done. Like I'm not great with words. I say the words, I don't write the words, but just I feel like I'm a little bit delusional in that I think these people actually exist. Like, they feel so real to me.
Such a great job of making them feel like real people.
Yes. It's like, what magic sauce they're putting in there, they're just brilliant. And yeah, I feel like I know like Mafi and Pharaoh and like, and then like Pharaoh walks into a scene and I'm like kicking my feet. I'm like, like having like my fangirl moment. I had to stop recording and I'm like, get your shit together right now, Ali.
I saw it says an Audi pulled up and I was like, oh my God.
I'm like hyperventilating. Like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Maximoff and Pharaoh are like,
my
heart.
Yeah.
We can kind of get into that now.
Yeah.
I think. What was the first book? So what was the first book that you picked up from Krista
The
Becca?
first book that I picked up from them was The Raging Ones.
Love that.
And The Last Hope.
That's amazing.
I can't remember why I did that one instead of, because I think I maybe bought The Raging Ones and Damage Like Us at the same time. Oh shit, wait, did I actually listen to Amor? Was it? Did I listen to? No. I listened to The Raging Ones. I definitely listened to read it. Eyeball read it first.
Okay.
And then it was either Damage Like Us or Amor that I read next, because I was available for free on Hoopla, and I was like, I need the audiobook, and I was like, are there any KBR like audiobooks? And so then Amor was on there, which that's another amazing series or duology. And so I think it was
that. Let me see, she just texted me, I thought. So I was like asking my friend if she had any questions that she wanted to ask in here, and I was telling her that she said she wanted to gush about the books too, so I was thinking it wouldn't have to, like, the Q&A wouldn't have to fill the entire episode. Ask her how she discovered KBR. Ask her if she has read Circus's Family, knife emoji.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely read Circus's Family. I love Amor, which then, to tie it all in, was freaking out when, oh my God, sorry, I'm really bad with names sometimes. Then our friend passes out. Oh my God. And she's friends with Roxanne. Yes, Roxanne. And I was like, wait, this person is, and then that's person's kid. I was like, I was freaking out, because I was like, wait, hold on, I think that's in my notes. Wait, hold on, we're gonna pull it back up again. Wait, this is literally in my notes. That, oh yeah, here it is. And I quote, Roxanne Ruiz, I can't fucking believe this, but this is a tie-in to Amor. She's the cousin of Nikolai R.J. Cordova Jr., son of Thor and Nikolai from Amor. And it's like with like a million exclamation points.
I think that, oh God, yes. I think we all collectively lost our minds. It was Charming Like Us when she was first introduced. And I think they just like put her Pinterest board up.
Yeah.
That was where it said that she was Dimitri and Camilla's daughter. And I have seen like all of these Charlie stans being like, oh my God, I'm so excited for him to fall in love with his ballerina. And I'm over here like, well, have you read Amor? Have you read Circus's Family? I don't know.
Do you even know?
I don't know how loud I need to scream about these books. Like, go read these.
God.
They're very important.
I delusionally was like, oh, I'm going to take up Ariel Silks after I read that. I was like, okay, well, maybe no. But like, I was like, it was so magical. I have so many. I'll have to share with you some of my like Instagram posts I did about Amor when I read it back when I was like a bookstagrammer.
I will share every single one of them. I love getting on my soapbox and talking about that. Yeah. Those series.
Yeah. So that was amazing. So those were some of my like first ones. So it was like The Raging Ones, because I'm a huge sci-fi fan, which I think was what drew me to Krista and Becca. Like initially it was like, I knew that they also loved like sci-fi and nerdy things and Star Wars. I'm like the biggest Star Wars fan. Like I have like, you can't see because it's dark in my studio, but like I have like Star Wars like memorabilia like all over in here. Like I met Rosario Dawson and Natasha Liu Bergizzo and Hayden Christensen like a couple of years ago, and it's like one of like the most incredible moments. But anyway, sorry, and I digress. So I was like, okay, they love all the same things I love, and I was like, well, I gotta read their sci fantasy, and just absolutely loved it. And then from there, it was just like, it was like catnip. I could not get enough of it. And it's just every single book just like pulls you in.
Yes.
And yeah. So, and then Damage Like Us and just like Mafi and Pharaoh, they are my comfort characters. And so there's definitely like, it's hard for me to choose like which I like the best, but like Mafi and Pharaoh is always who I come back to, because like there's just something so beautiful about their story and them finding each other, and Mafi overcoming like everything that he does, and like them having a family together. Just like, it's so beautiful. I love it so much.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think I attribute it to like, we get 4 books with them. So we get to see like so much of their journey. At the time, they had been like when they started Patreon, that was when they were writing Alphas Like Us. I think they started in 2018 and Alphas Like Us came out in March of that year. And so they wrote like a ton, because that was the only point of view that like they really wanted to focus on at the time. That was like their rule, was the books we're writing in, we're going to like write bonus scene with that until we establish the next voice for the next characters. But there's like so much bonus scenes with Maximoff and Pharaoh. And then they like them and their Pinterest boards. I love scroll. Like, I feel like I just know.
I've been a member of their Patreon for like so long.
I joined January. I remember I worked at a different place. I'm that person that loves to exercise the left and right side of her brain. So I actually work in the sciences.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's very different from everything else I do at home and all of my granny hobbies.
It's called balance, right?
Something like that. But I distinctly remember being in the biorepository lab, and you weren't allowed to have your phones because you were dealing with like biological substances. And I saw like I had an email open, and it was like, sign up for like, we're doing a Patreon. And I was like, I've never heard of Patreon, but I'm in. And I remember running into the bathroom and signing up on my phone. And then I started reading like right away, and there are like people waiting out in the bathroom. I'm like, shh, I'm reading something. This is very important.
Quiet. This is very important. Yeah, like the way they do bonus content is just like a masterclass.
Yes.
I love everything that they've done, and everything feels fresh and unique, and it's so cool how they turned it into its own thing. And I just think that, you know, I feel like I need to stop saying they're just like brilliant, but like they are. And so it's
I'm fine
just
with giving them their flowers. You know what? We're allowed. This is good karma. We're recording on the 28th. Their birthday is tomorrow. So like we can just be saying this as birthday gifts for them.
Yes.
These are it'll be a belated birthday gift for them. Yeah, they have the same birthday as Ben.
Our Ben.
Our sweet
boy.
Yeah,
he's too pure and good for this world.
He truly is. His scene in Some Kind of Perfect at the very end. That one always gets me right in the heart. Like, that was when I truly fell in love with Ben, and I remember asking questions like on Patreon in the podcast when they would talk about the Cobalt brothers. I was like, what is it like for Ben? Charlie and Beckett and Elliot and Tom seem to like have each other as pairs, but poor Ben is the one lone pair. What is that like for him? I just wanted to know all of these things.
Yeah. And he's been through so much.
He went through it.
He's through it. And I just remember, like, God, I feel like I sobbed when I read, like, the car scene. And I can't remember which one of the Mafi and Pharaoh books that was. And just, like, Alphas. And just, like, I was, like, actually afraid that, like, somebody wasn't going to make it. And I was, like, and it's just like a testament to like the characters that they created and like the stakes that they kind of like built up in that moment, and just like how then kind of sends Ben on this whole like that was like the fork in the road for Ben. And so like that was really cool, because then I was like I was there at that moment reading it, and then we pick it up and we see
mind blowing
where it took him
when they talked about the car crash, and I was like, the car crash was Alphas Like Us. And then we had 10 other books in the Like Us series. Yeah. And then we had Bird Brain. What do you mean? It's been that long.
Yeah.
That
I was like, but do you even know about the car crash? And I was like, this is important information.
Yeah, I know. I'm over here like, guys, you need to read all of like I can't stress enough, read every single
I'm like, you don't have to read them before you read Burn Bright, but you should.
You don't have to, but you kind of.
You don't have to, but you should.
Yes.
You know, it's important. So no, but like, what was your first KBR book?
I started with Kiss the Sky. Remember it was like around the time when I think I was looking for a little more of like that spicier side of romance. And I think I looked up a Goodreads list of like, give me all of the books in that kind of genre. Yeah. And Kiss the Sky was on there. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I remember reading that. And I think I saw at the very end, I was a broke ass college student. It was 2014. It was my sophomore year of college. And I was like, oh, they have a free book at the end. Look at that. I'll just go ahead. I'll just go ahead and get that one. And there was Addicted to You. But I don't think I actually read Addicted to You at that time. I think I like picked up something else. And then I read Addicted to You later. And let me tell you, like there was enough time that it wasn't for a while. Because that was back when they had really pushed that it was the Calloway sisters and the Addicted series, that they were kind of separate. So it did not click to me that the Rose and Connor that were mentioned in it was the Lillian Lowe that was mentioned in Kiss the Sky was the same Lillian Lowe in Addicted to You. I was
like, oh, how funny. They have the same name.
They're the same people.
Like, how weird.
And then I think it was like a year later, I was just like, I reread Kiss the Sky and I was like, it kind of feels like maybe Daisy should have gotten a book. And I went and like looked up the authors on Goodreads, like, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, she did get a book, didn't she? And they have oh my God, there are quite a few books that I need to catch up on.
They're like, oh man, like I really need to get caught up.
I read the books like way, way out of order because I think I remember reading. I think I maybe then went to more of the Calloway sisters and I read Fuel the Fire and they talked about Jane being born in the limo. And I was like, where the fuck is this? I don't see this in any of the books. And so then I was like going back and buying all of the other books and trying to find out where the hell Jane was.
We have to fill in all the pieces. It's like, then we start having a wall with like pictures and like we're like have like red string between them.
That meme. Yes, that was me. And then I finally was like, okay, you need to calm down and actually just like book one and let's go through all of them. Like stop being this weird person and just like reading random scenes. But eventually I figured it out and I read all of the books. And so yeah, Kiss the Sky was mine.
That was your gateway drug.
That was my gateway drug. I loved the books. I think I was just like, it was the fact that they felt so real. It was very different because that was like a decade ago at this point. I think romance was like a lot of romance, even at that point I had read, and I was starting to get bored with the same formulaic romance book where, okay, a girl meets guy, they kind of have this mutual attraction, we get some like plot in there, they get together, they break up, and then they get back together. And I was like, this is just, it's getting boring for me. And then I read Kiss the Sky and I was like, what do you mean Rose and Connor are actually together? From start to finish, they have been dating the entire time. I was like, this is so different than anything.
And the challenges are just different. Like they still have their challenges, but they're unique and different. And it's like, there's no third act breakup kind of stuff. Yeah.
That was like,
I love that.
The way they approached all of the books, I was like, they truly showed me that like life happens after that happily ever after. There's still conflicts that they're going through after their happily ever after, and like that can fill a book. And I was like, this is exactly the kind of stuff that I wanted to be reading. Also, I'm gonna pause real fast and turn on a light.
Okay, dark. I was like, you're in total darkness. What happened? I guess
the sun sets so fast.
Yeah, no, and like I feel, it's like, there's like that no third act breakup that just like is so nice. And whenever I try to like sell people on like the Damaged Like Us, I'm like, well, it's like Bodyguards and Billionaires, but not like that. It's
not like that at all.
I'm like, it is that trope, but like that's just kind of like the platter that it's on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I think I will say that's where I started, but I did not become like that crazy obsessive fan until Damaged Like Us.
Yeah.
I remember I had been so because I do remember them announcing like there were going to be queer characters and Maximoff was one of them. And I was like, but I've never read a male romance before. I don't know if I'm going to connect with it at all. And I still wound up pre-ordering the book anyway. I remember I was at the beach. It was like a family vacation and I woke up that Tuesday and the book had been delivered in the middle of the night and I was like, I mean, I guess I'll read it because I still want to see what's going on with Lillian Lowe and like the rest of the core six. And I was like, I read Maximoff and Pharaoh's book and I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with them. I want to be their best
From
friend.
page one.
Yes.
You know, when he walks into
Pharaoh Redford Keene is so fucking cool. I love him so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like when he comes sauntering into, why am I blanking on the name? Superheroes and Scones. I was like, I'm trying to pull it out of my memory banks. He comes like walking into like Superheroes and Scones. And then like when Mafia doesn't let him drive the car, like straight off. And how they threw Pharaoh a funeral for like the job change. And he's like, they didn't give me a card, but if they did, it said, good luck steering that ship. And I was like, sold. I love
Their
it.
banter,
Every piece.
I think their banter is very similar to Connor and Rose. I'm like, yes,
Mm-hmm.
I eat this up. This is exact.
Yeah.
They're so great. So I think at that point, after that book, I was waiting up at midnight for every other book that would release, and then I met them. I had an Instagram. I saw that they like posted online, but I did not understand how to. I never understood how to tag authors. I remember that, like, starting a bookstagram, and I like posted this reading schedule, and I was like, it's my Krista and Becca thing, and I was like, but how do I get them to see it? They're not following me. I didn't understand. They would like share people's stories, and I was like, okay, so I guess if I post on my stories, they'll repost it. I'll post it when it looks like they're active, and I learned all of the things with Instagram through Bookstagram and trying to like get them to notice me. Like,
I know.
My love
like,
for their
hello,
books.
I love you.
Yes, but I was like kind of a quiet fan. Like, I did not understand how to do Instagram, and then I met them at a Polycon in 2019.
Which I think that's the same year that I met them for the first time. Because I can't remember if my first Polycon I ever met to was 2018 or if it was 2019. I think it was 2019 because I went. Yeah, either way, but it was 2019. Yeah, because my first one was 2018. They were there the next year, 2019, and that's the year that I met them too. And that's when I first, and that's like what kicked off the journey.
Yes,
of all that.
So after that, I was like, I'm like a really quiet fan. Like, I don't say anything on your Instagram or your Patreon or your Facebook page, but like I'm there and I see everything. And they're like, oh my God, but that means so much knowing that you're there. Oh. And then I left and I turned into the loudest fucking fan you could ask.
Oh my God. Because they're just delightful human beings too. They're so nice. Kind. And I was just like, because I met them like that first time, and at the time I was just like a book blogger and like bookstagrammer, and I just enjoyed posting about books and doing fun stuff. And then the bookstagramming turned into podcasting, which then turned into then I started like narrating audiobooks, and so then it was really cool that like I had been going to a Polycon as a reader all of those years, like throughout like the journey of like going from like being a fan to then like, okay, I'm actually, not only am I doing this thing as a hobby, but like I'm doing it like for real. Like I'm actually getting to work in this field that I love so immensely. And so then when I was invited to be a signing narrator at a Polycon, that was just like such an incredible moment, because I was like, I've made it. And I was like, it's real. And, and I had been going to a Polycon when it was like way smaller, and you could just like walk up to Jennifer and like, and she has such an incredible memory. She'll like remember you. And she's like, oh yeah, like Ali, like you're in Maryland and like you work in blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like you remember me. And she's like, yeah, of course I do. And like, it was like wild. And then like I ended up talking to like one of the organizers at one point, like at my table. And I was like, I'm like, this is huge for me. Like I've been coming since like 2018. She's like, we know. She's like, yeah. And she's like, like we know that like this has been like, you've been coming like all this time. And like, I was like, oh my God.
That's so kind.
So that was like really cool. And I was like, oh my God. And so then like ended up being in the same ballroom as like Krista and Becca. And like I was just like gushing to like my roommates. I was like, because again, like literally anyone who will like listen to me, and I'm like, but have you read Damaged Like Us? Have you read Krista and Becca Ritchie? Okay, like I need you to read it, and if you don't like it, I need you to lie to me and tell me that you didn't read it, because like I just friends. Like I can't handle it. And I think I talked to like my roommates for like 40 straight minutes about like
the entire thesis.
I like the thesis. I'm like, okay, but it's like bodyguards and billionaires, but it's not. And it's just like, there's so much heart, and it's like queer, and there's this and there's that. And then there's Kit Soletti. And so then like, I was like, but so I was telling people, I'm like, you gotta go and like meet them. And people are like, who are you excited to like meet at a Polycon? And I'm like, well, I met them like years ago. And I'm like, literally the only authors I care about talking to at a Polycon. I'm like, I just want to have like, I just want to see Krista and Becca. And like, that's, and I'm like, if I don't talk to anybody else, if I don't meet anybody else, like I literally don't care. And so I was able to like chat with them and, have them like sign my copies of The Raging Ones and The Last Hope, which are like, they're out of print now. Yeah. So I had to like, I have like old like hard copy versions of them. And I was like, I really need you to sign The Raging Ones and The Last Hope for me. And then I was just like gushing with them about, how I love the Like Us series, and, and it's just, I think like meeting them in that moment kind of like set things in motion that just kind of like allowed things to unfold. And then I couldn't believe that they were willing to trust me with their story, especially like this new series that they did. And I just remember the moment that I like got the email about like, you know, they were looking for a sample for me, and I was like, you know, had a heart attack, and it was just so crazy that all happened.
We were talking about how I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I was saying that I remember being in the cubicle. Well, first off, I remember them talking that they wanted to do special editions for the Leica series. They were thinking about just doing hardcovers. And in my head, that was just like they're slapping the same cover art, same cover photo on a hardcover. And I was like, yeah, it's the same thing, but it's hardcover, so I'm going to buy it anyway. I can't wait to have this on my shelf. And like 2 months later, I got an email and they're like, we know that you know the characters, so we wanted to see if you would. We know it's a lot. It's going to be a 13-book series, and would you be willing? And I was like, yes, fuck yeah.
I'd be like, would I be willing?
Was my answer ever going to be no?
Yeah, like in what world is my answer no to this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure my response was like, they're like, do you have time for this? And I was like, I always have time for Krista and Becca Ritchie. And I was like, I will, you know, like, what do I got to do? Like, you know, invent time travel, whatever.
Yeah,
I always have time for that.
I remember too, I was like in grad school at the time. And I had like told my parents, and my mom was like, well, make sure that you like still focus on grad school. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going to be illustrating. I'm going to be making money from this, Mom. I'm fine.
They're like, this is the dream. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I would I would narrate them for free. Like, I know like that's not a very good business standpoint, but like I would.
But I was like, I was the same. Also, super small potatoes. I had never taken a commission before. I was like, I don't care.
Like literally, I'm just happy to be here.
Yes.
You know? So yeah. I promise I was not like stalking them.
No. And like I said, totally not on my radar, because they do, like Krista does all of their graphic designs and she's incredible at it. She's done almost all of their covers. I think the trad published ones, like with Berkeley, I think they have some input, but they have someone else. But for the most part, it's them. Like Burn Bright, and I'm almost positive Silver Sweet. That's her.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I love your illustrations, and they just really capture the spirit of all of the characters. It's so good. I love all of them.
Like you said, I tried really hard. Oh gosh, the pressure of like trying to, like you said, give my personal interpretation of what these characters look like, but also what do other people expect these characters to look like?
Yeah, it's like it's balancing that, because you got to stay true to you and like yourself as an artist, and you don't want to like let the noise of other things then kind of muddy the waters and like bring in self-doubt, and like you were chosen to do those illustrations for a reason. And so, but then you also want to like, we know how important these characters are to everyone.
Yeah.
And then as fans ourselves, we want to like,
I think that was something,
live up to that.
It was like a fan, I think, after it had been announced that I was illustrating the covers, there was somebody who slid into my DMs and was like, I love your artwork. I can't wait to see how you do Jane, because my size is very similar to her. And I was like, oh my God, I got to make sure that I get this very accurate, because I need to make sure that I'm not disappointing someone. I have actual proof that I could be disappointing someone. There she is in my messages.
I was terrified I was going to sound too bubbly. I was like, okay, we got to like, but I was like, I don't know where that like self-doubt comes, because like I do all these different like characters, but then I was like, because I just am naturally like very bubbly, and I think I was coming off like a long run of like some rom-coms and very like sweet kind of things, and I was like, and I'm like, no, like you can do this, and you know, and you understand her, and just because I have like a higher, sweeter voice does not mean that, you know, we can't still like really embody who she is as a person. So, but yeah, you're an incredibly talented artist. I love all
Thank
of the work,
you.
and I love all the covers.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
I have absolutely enjoyed listening to you as Harriet, and I'm in the middle of my KBR reread, but as soon as like I free it up, I'm gonna go out and search for a couple of the books that maybe you've narrated.
Well, like I always have like a few I can like send you for free and stuff.
Well, thank you.
Like I'm so bad. I'm like, here, you want free books? Like, here you go.
I mean, I won't say no to free books,
Yeah.
but that was not me
Yeah.
trying to do that. That was
No. Like
I
talking
appreciate
about-
you supporting my work. I want to support your work as well.
I appreciate that too. If you need recommendations, if you're looking for like a
Yes.
particular vibe, if you
I will
want
hit you up.
duet, if you want dual, like what you're like looking for. If you like Aaron Shedlock,
I do
you should try.
really love it. I think
It's dual.
okay.
Peaches by Michaela Jean
Yes,
Taylor.
that one's on. That's been on my TBR. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll have to.
So the
bump that
first one
up.
is Sunshine. I did that one solo.
Okay.
It's just me. Well, it's like me and me. It's dual timeline. So it's like young her and like older her.
Cool.
But you can read each of them like individually. But Peaches
I
is
always read.
a fun one.
I can't.
If you want to hear
jump
the
into
Southern
it.
drawl
Ooh.
and like yeah. And I was like, if you want to hear me sound completely different than Harriet, then that would be the one to do.
Okay.
I sound completely different. But yeah.
I think it's so interesting. I went to the Destructively Mine signing, and Carly Robbins lives
Mhm.
like in the area, so she said I'll come to the signing and just do a short reading of the book for you guys at the signing, which was amazing. But it was so fascinating to hear her like come up, introduce herself, introduce Krista and Becca, and then she goes into Phoebe's voice, and I was like, that's totally different than what you were just talking.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's weird. And it's like, I have a hard time doing it. And applaud her for doing it in person too, because people are like, they're like, yeah, I can hear it. And I'm like, I actually don't sound like this really though. Like when I'm narrating, it's like we really do drop into like a different part of like the voice. And I think it's maybe my singing background. It feels more like singing to me. And especially like, when I'm narrating Spice stuff too, then I'm like very hyper aware of like my pitch and what I'm doing with my voice. And so that is very much, it's like very technical and like trying to be present and like don't want to be like so technical about it that like you're not in the moment and not like embodying like the emotions and stuff. But like it's a very like technical process. I don't know. It's kind of weird to describe, but I
think it's fascinating. I just like, for my job, have to do like a respirator test. And one of the things is you have to read something to make sure that you can still talk without getting like particles through your mask.
Mm-hmm.
And I read like facts about a rainbow, but at the end of it the person was like, oh my god, you're so great at this, you should be an audio narrator. And I won't lie, that's like floated in the back of my
god,
head.
thank you.
I've listened to so many audiobooks
Mm-hmm.
and just I'm like, I don't think I could do all of the voices. I could read like something that doesn't have a voice to it. Maybe I could try that, but I am just so impressed at the catalog of voices that you all have. That's incredible.
Well, you develop them over time, and I think when I first started, I kind of built myself as a narrator that like kind of did things like fairly unvoiced. And it's interesting how I've like evolved since then. I'm like, yes, like I like distinguish between all of the different characters, but then like as you go and you just like develop your voice, and you don't have to, I thought that I would have to like, you hear about like people that do like animation and like they have these like chameleon voices.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's not me. Like I have a fairly flexible voice and things that I can do, but I can't do that. Like I can't, do like those like character style voices. But then like it's been really surprising how I'm like, oh no, like I actually can do all of these different voices. And it's much more about connecting with the character and being able to like convey that emotion, who they are as a person without like, because like no matter at the end of the day, it's still my vocal cords. Like I can't like change them and make them do something else. And so I think a lot of people start narrating thinking like, I can't do this, I can't do that. I have dyslexia, I have ADHD. Like, there's all these like barriers and reasons like why you can't do it, but then that's not necessarily a barrier. It's something that gives you your unique flair and your flavor. And like I said, I used to hate my voice. Like I was never a person that people are like, oh my God, you should narrate audiobooks. Like I'm like, that was not me. People would tell me my voice was annoying and or like would mock how I said things because I kind of do like, I'm from Colorado, so I'm like,
Okay.
kind of do like upspeak and, that kind of like more like Western, like West Coast kind of like way of speaking. And so I was like, people don't want to listen to me talk. And so I had like a lot of self-doubt, but audiobook listeners, when you've consumed that much, like what you like. And so I just came into it like I want to narrate it the way I would want to listen to it and what I would want to hear. And I don't want to hear jarring voices. I want to hear the emotions and I want to know who's who, but I want to narrate books that I would listen to. And it's a rapidly changing industry, but I think it's hopefully people like it how I've chosen to do.
Yes. Well,
It's okay.
You've got a fan.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. And Krista and Becca, which is really
3 fans.
3, which is really all that matters in this world. I'm like, what do I do now?
That was my whole thing with the covers too. It was like at the end of the day, people can hate the covers, but I handed it off to them and they said, yes, this is good. And we think this can represent our work. And you know what? That was the most important. Yeah. That was the most important opinion.
Yeah. I gotta make some new goals now, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what do I do now?
I mean,
now, well, actually, here, I'm going to manifest it here on this podcast right now. Because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, right? I want to narrate a Star Wars audiobook. Yes. That's the new dream. Yes. That's like the next goal. Like I want to narrate a Star Wars book. That's the new.
I love that goal.
The new benchmark that we're setting.
I mean, look at you.
That's a lot of character voices too. So I'm like, I gotta like really, get on my alien voices.
But if you like sci-fi.
I do love sci-fi. I've been doing a lot of romance because I love romance, but I also really love sci-fi. I've only done like a little teensy bit of sci-fi, but I love sci-fi.
I know.
Like I would love to do more.
I'm so excited. You're making me think about the Raging Ones being rewritten.
I'm so glad that they've like publicly posted about it because like they told me about it. I was like, am I allowed to say like I need to talk to someone
bad about like sharing all of their secrets? And then I'm like, but am I allowed to say? That was the thing with the covers. It was like, am I allowed to say that covers are coming? And they're like, oh yeah, we've been talking about it in like our comments. And I was like, how am I supposed to know this?
Yeah, I can't remember where. I think it was like in the captions of like one of their posts. And like, okay, cool. Like I don't have to like pretend like I don't know about this fact now. But I'm like Joey really excited.
Phoebe or Joey and Rachel thing. Like, I know something. Do you know something? Maybe I know the thing.
Do you know the thing? Yeah, right. You know that they know that I know that we know that. Yes. Yeah.
I'm always trying to feel it out, but.
Yeah, I have no idea when that's supposed to be happening, but it's such a great duology because it was such a unique like premise.
Yes.
And
you can't give away there was
I'm like,
what
do I say?
There was one question in here that someone asked about it was the most bizarre twist, but I'll just go with like a great twist and the Raging Ones.
Yeah.
I won't say where, but
there's a lot of twists.
There's so many twists, but it's just so good. And I adore the characters. Franny, I love her so much.
What a nervous little Nelly she is.
Yes, but like I can't give it away because that like
I know, but like how she goes from like being fearless to then she's like, oh dear God, like I have a nosebleed.
Yes, but then to like I can be fearless. This is like that is the way I can live my life. Oh, it's so perfect.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what can I say? Yeah.
I love Michael. He is everything. He is this big lug, but like he's so funny to me. He makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, so I have no idea what the, like, how long we have to wait for that, but because I need them to do more sci-fi stuff like that. And I feel like, I don't know, that duology was so underrated.
Very underrated. So I don't know if they'll try and find a new publisher or if they'll try and indie publish and just do a lot of marketing around it themselves. But
I'm a huge fan of indie. Like, I mean, the bulk of the work, actually, I think pretty much even when I've worked with publishers, like, it's all indie authors and like indie self-pub. And I'm a huge fan. Like, there's incredible work that's out there that, like, you know, and there's amazing like trad pub as well.
I think it's very obvious in how much like trad pub is picking up all of the indies. Like they're out there, and then the publisher realizes like, oh, there's a big readership here, and we could get that readership, but like it already existed beforehand.
Yeah, it really did. You know, it's like, well, how do we sell this? How do we pitch this? But then, you know, you go indie and it's like, yeah, like people are buying it. They really like it. You know, it's definitely out there.
All right. So I think we're going to try and wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah, I know we went on a little tangent there.
That's totally okay. I love the tangents. It fills out my podcast.
Yes.
It's perfect for podcasting.
It's great.
Okay, so I think I have 2 questions left.
Yeah.
Which setting would you want to live in with the characters? So we have Philly with the famous ones in security, New York with the famous ones in that security, Victoria with the Webs We Weave crew, Miss Point Harbor with the Miss Point Harbor gang, or Vegas with Ariel Ethereal.
I think I gotta do Philly with the famous ones. Like, yeah. Because I actually really like Philly. You know, like the food there is so good. I love to, you know, drive up to Philly. You know, I don't get the chance to go very often, but I really enjoy Philly. So I would totally do Philly with the famous ones. I think the one I would never do is Miss Point Harbor. I'm terrified because like everyone that's there is cursed. Well, I guess if I was there as a tourist, it'd be okay.
But
maybe if I'm living there,
cursed people.
Yes.
Like, or people who are potentially not cursed and like, I don't want to hang out.
Yeah. Right. Because you don't want to wait for their curse. Well, yeah. So no, definitely not. As much as I love the Miss Point Harbor book, I don't think I would want to live there. Yeah. That's the one that I would be
They're
like,
a little kooky there.
Not. Yeah. I mean, Vegas with like Ariel Ethereal would be very cool as well. Yeah. But yeah, I got to say Philly with the famous ones.
Yeah. I think I'm between Philly and Victoria. Like, I don't think I have the money to live up there or like the status, but you know, if I did have the status, I think I'd want to. That sounds so nice up there.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I got tickets to go up to Mystic to see them, and so I'm excited to like walk around and pretend I'm in Victoria.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be so incredible. Yeah. Take so many pictures.
Oh, yes, I will. All right. And the last question, who are your Core 6 characters? So like you plus 5 other characters.
So like this is the one that I kind of like have been thinking about all day and have been agonizing over because like how do I choose? Because like, okay, so obviously Mafi and Pharaoh.
It can be in the moment too. Like we can just say in this exact moment and this could change in 5 minutes. That's acceptable.
Yeah. So absolutely Mafi and Pharaoh.
Yes. For
sure. I want to say like, and then like Kitsoletti and me.
Okay.
Like, because then that like rounds out very nicely to like 6. But I also feel like I would want to have like Joanna and me in there too. Because like I love Joanna and I would like, I want to hang out with her. I want to be besties with her. She was super fun to voice too. I had a lot of fun with her. I was like, God, I love her. Her and Beckett. Oh my God. Carrying around that mattress on your back. Oh my God.
Fantastic.
It was, yeah, it gave me life. That was really good. Yeah. So like if there's like a way to like, because I'm like, who's like my hangout person, you know, because then it's like the Core 6 and I'm like, I need to have a person and like, there's nobody that I want to be like but I'm like, I want to hang out with Joanna. I want to be friends with Joanna. Because then I'm the other one. If we did like Joanna, I would want to do like Luna and Donnelly too. Yeah. Because like Donnelly and like Pharaoh, like I feel like that would be like a fun hangout group.
Oh, that would be so fun.
Yeah.
Gosh,
who's your Core 6 in this moment?
Yes, in this exact moment, Maximoff for sure.
This is such a hard question. This is the hardest hidden question of the whole podcast.
My friend asked this She made like a whole post with a bunch of people's answers, and I yelled at her about it.
There are no wrong answers except that one.
Yeah, yes. And like for all of you listeners, you'll probably have already seen the results of the March Madness bracket that's been going on this month. The number of angry messages I have received. Like, Haley, this isn't fair. This isn't funny anymore.
It's supposed to be fun, people. Why are we getting mad?
Listen, I will say, like, I didn't pick who it was. It was all random, but also, y'all, you are the ones picking these winners, and you can go and look at the bracket and see if you pick this winner, this is who they're going to wind up with, and maybe we should plan a little further ahead. We're about to get Rose versus Lily and Charlie versus Beckett. And then it's going to be, how are you going to pick?
No.
I'm going to get so many angry messages. I'm already waiting for.
Jeez. I didn't even think that through. I've just been like clicking.
Yeah.
I'm vibes. But that's also how I did my basketball bracket, and that's probably why I lost.
I did basketball uniforms, and I lost real hard.
Yeah, I just did it on vibes, and like I had my husband tell me like the names and like what the states were, and I'm like this, that, and he's like, "Oh, you're picking underdogs," and I'm like, "Am I?" Cool.
That's
all
what
right.
my gut said.
Yeah. So
yeah, I went with Kentucky because they had blue checkers on the side of their uniform, and I was like, "That's cool."
And based off of like mascots and stuff, so like yeah, I saw your bracket, and I was like, "I'm going on vibes."
Yeah.
Like
yes.
and
okay.
I was like,
I'm still thinking. This is me procrastinating my answers. Maximoff. I want to say Oliver right now.
Yeah.
I love him in Dangerously Ours. I did get to read the arc, and he's probably one of my favorite characters in that book. Beckett is also one of my favorite Cobalts. Gosh.
Beckett, je t'aime. I love him.
I've been waiting on his book since 2019, and all I know is
we don't know who his pairing is yet, though, do we?
It's not confirmed. The whole thing was back in 2019. They said it was going to be Leo and Joanna and Sully, Akara, and Banks, and people were really upset over the polyamorous relationship.
They can shut the fuck up, honestly.
Yes, they can. But because it was going to take so long for Leo to get on page, they decided that they were going to retract the statement. They wanted to make sure that like it would even work in the first place because they had no place to explore that option. But with all of the interactions between Beckett and Leo and Beckett and Joanna, here's me manifesting.
Please, if
that
I
it's
have
going
to choose, I'm going to be really sad.
My manifestation is that it's going to be Beckett, Leo, and Joe.
All
it has
three.
not been confirmed.
Not confirmed.
Not
we do not have insider knowledge. This is us manifesting what we want.
Yes. And it's perfect. Yes. So
Their little interaction.
Maximoff, Oliver, Beckett. I think I want to do Sully. I am a big Sully defender.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need one more. Who else? I'm like running down all of the characters. Who's on the bracket? Willow. Willow is also one of my soul characters too. Especially like at the time that I read her books. Huge introvert, and I was like, I feel so seen with her. She's bookish. She wears glasses.
I was like thinking I couldn't split people up. I did this in a really weird way because like I probably should have done like Harriet, Luna, because like I feel I identify with Luna like so much. Sully, so like the three gals, and then now I just want to hang out and make my own girl squad. There, that's it.
Yes, that's perfect.
And Harriet, we'll add Harriet in there, and Joanna. There we go. Joanna and Frog. There we go.
Perfect.
That's my core six. I'm making my own girl squad.
I love that.
Yeah.
God. And now I'm just waiting on the confirmation of a Girl Squad series. It's coming. It's gotta come.
Be really good.
No fun. Climbing the curtains.
Oh my gosh.
His name is Nova, but he acts like a freaking acrobat climbing the sill.
Oh my gosh.
So I call him Nova Katova.
Nova Katova?
My dad said he is an acro cat.
An acro cat? Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun.
Yes, I had such a blast talking with you. Thank you for truly thank you for wanting to be part of this. You are welcome back anytime you want.
Oh my gosh. I would love to come just like gush about anything.
Yes, we can vibe. If you want to talk about a specific book, I got you. You let me know. But
Like literally anytime. I'm glad I decided to shoot my shot because I
Yes.
was like, maybe this is really overstepping, but I'm like,
no,
I need to talk to somebody.
teach all my listeners, shoot your shot, see what you get.
See? Just put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Manifest it. I was like, I want to be on the Addicted Like Us podcast and chat with Haley because she's amazing. And I want to talk about KBR books.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to have you back and we can talk more about the Cobalt Empire series. When more books come out, we don't have to wait that long. We're going to get half the series by the end of the year.
Rapid release.
Yes, thank goodness. But we are going to end the podcast here. And until next time, continue to stay addicted to Krista and Becca's writing like us.